I'll tell you how Hedwig started, because John and I were working on a musical that was mostly autobiographical about him, and there. And he was, and it was sort of an exploration of past lovers by a rock star rather than an actor, who was basically John. And at some point very early on, we had Origin of Love. So John handed me this book of Plato dialogues and had Plato Symposium in it, and I thought it was. And he asked me if I could write a song, and I wrote that song. And then we had that song, and we weren't really getting anywhere other than that. And then he just started telling me stories about his life, and I had like a little legal pad, and I'm taking down notes, and he started telling me about this babysitter that he had, or that his family had hired to take care of his brother. And it was a very funny story about this babysitter that lived in a trailer, and he and his friend Gina, I want to say, but I don't know, used to go over to her house and act out songs for her. And you know, they'd dance around and sing these and do these story songs, and then she would have all these, and she would give them vodka, and then she had a lot of dates, and they thought it was really weird because she wasn't that attractive, and she had a lot of dates, and sometimes she didn't even seem to know who the dates were, and they'd look out the window to see who was coming up, and if the date looked okay, they would run out the back door and leave her there, and if the date didn't look okay, they'd all run out the back door. So he told me that story, and I just thought this was really spectacular. And I was working at this drag club at the time, where I was leading a 4-piece rock band that was sort of like my own band, Cheater, but also is basically what the lineup of the Hedwig band: keyboard, guitar player, me, and drums, bass, and guitar. And I was backing up drag queens every Friday night doing punk rock songs, and I was like, you know what? You put on a wig, we can make her into someone who knew this rock star, and before he was famous, and then he becomes famous, and she's left singing in dives, and she's resentful, and we'll get a whole scene out of this. And we can workshop it, we can take it down to Squeezebox, we can just kind of get to know the character, and then we'll figure out what her scene is. And so that was the plan, and we really originally thought that she was just going to be one of the past lovers of this rock star, and she was going to have one scene, and she was going to sing "Wicked Little Town," and that was it. You were just going to go and interview her, like, oh, you knew the rock star, and yeah, I've got to go sing my song. And she'd go up on the stage and sing the song about being stuck in the small town, and he was famous. And then we went and brought it down to Squeezebox, and it was like an instant hit. And we kept getting bookings at clubs and a beach party, and yes. We did a beach party. It was like Sandy Gallen and David Geffen, and there was all these very very Tony homosexuals with lots of money who hated us so much. They hated us. We're in the bright daylight on a beach, and they hated us. And John went up and like sat in Sandy Gallen's lap, and he was just like, "Get away from me!" But we kept on getting bookings. And then I would write a new song, and John would write some more monologue, and eventually we got to a point where it became obvious that we were kind of developing this to be bigger than one scene. And so then for a while we thought, well, we'll do one act of Hedwig and one act of the character that was, I don't even think he was Tommy yet, I think he was still John. And then we kept doing it. We're like, you know what? We'll do one night of Hedwig, and then a night of Tommy, and then a night of Hedwig. And there was like, how about a week of? And then by the time it was done, he was just out, not out the door, like literally.
Amazing.